If this video has reached you, it means you're seeking a change in your life, an improvement, or even to understand yourself and the people around you. And so, start the change right now by influencing your profile's algorithm. Like this video, comment on your thoughts and what changes you hope to see in your life. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel so YouTube recommends more transformative and enlightening videos to you. This way, you'll truly witness the change and improvement in
your daily life. Attachment is not love. We have been taught that love hurts, that when someone truly matters to you, you should fear losing them, that loving means needing to cling, to depend. But Carl Jung left us a truth few dare to accept. Attachment is not love. It is a disguised form of fear. When you attach yourself to someone, it is not just because you love them. It is because deep down, you feel that without that person, something in you remains incomplete. You feel that without their presence, your life loses meaning. You feel that without their validation, your worth as a person diminishes. You feel that without their love, something in you breaks. But here is the truth. That is not love. It is emotional dependency. Real love is expansion, not chains. It is sharing from freedom, not from emptiness. It is being with someone because you choose them, not because you need them to feel whole. But most people confuse love with attachment because they have lived relationships where the fear of losing was stronger than the desire to share. Here is where I want you to ask yourself, do you truly love that person, or do you just fear being without them? How attachment disguises itself as love. Attachment is not just feeling you need someone in your life. Attachment is feeling that without that person you lose a part of yourself. It is easy to justify. Easy to say you love someone so much you cannot imagine your life without them. But the problem is not in loving. The problem lies in believing that without that person, love disappears. If you believe love resides in the other and not in yourself, you become a prisoner of the bond. If you believe you need someone to feel valuable, your happiness will always depend on external factors. If you feel that without that person you lose stability, it means you were using them as an anchor to hold on to. Here is the hardest part to accept. When attachment governs your life, fear becomes the engine of the relationship. Fear that they will change. Fear that they will leave. Fear that they will stop loving you. Fear that one day they will no longer be there. That is not love. It is fear of loss. When you love, you add. When you attach, you cling. The difference between love and attachment is simple. Love lets you be yourself without fear of losing. Attachment makes you feel that without the other, you are not enough. Love flows. Attachment imprisons. Love is free. Attachment is possessive. Love is a complement. Attachment is a dependency. If you feel that without that person you crumble, it is not love. It is a sign that you have placed your happiness in someone else's hands. This is where detachment becomes necessary. Not because you must distance yourself from the person, but because you need to recover the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. When you depend emotionally on someone, you hand them control over your well-being. If they stay, you are happy. If they leave, you collapse. Deep down, you know this is not healthy. To love without depending, the balance few achieve. Carl Jung said, "Love does not need to possess, it only needs to understand." When you love from connection rather than dependency, you stop needing to control. When you understand that no one is responsible for your happiness, you stop clinging. When you realize love is not a limited resource, you stop fearing it will end. Because real love is not fear, anxiety, or anguish at the possibility of loss. Real love is freedom. But to experience it, you first need to free yourself from attachment. You need to learn to let go without fear. You need to understand that detachment does not mean losing. It means reclaiming your peace. Here comes the most important question: how to let go without feeling like you are losing something. How to release without being left with emptiness. That is what we will discover next. Detaching from someone does not mean renouncing love. It means reclaiming yourself. Quick pause. If you are enjoying this content, I invite you to like it right now and subscribe. That helps us a lot. Thank you. You are undoubtedly strong-minded. Keep listening to this wisdom until the end. Why letting go of someone does not mean losing, it means reclaiming your freedom. Letting go is one of the hardest experiences for humans. From a young age, we are taught that true love lasts forever, that when someone truly matters, we should do everything possible to keep them close. We are conditioned to think detachment is synonymous with failure, that letting go is losing. But here is the truth few want to accept. Letting go of someone does not mean losing. It means freeing yourself from the idea that your happiness depends on their presence. Love should not be a prison. You should not constantly fear that the person will change, drift away, or one day decide to take another path. When fear dominates, love becomes a burden instead of a gift. Carl Jung said, "Nothing has a stronger psychological influence on their environment than the unlived life of a parent." This phrase applies not only to parents, but to any relationship. When you sacrifice your essence to be with someone, when you abandon parts of yourself to sustain a bond, when you stay where you are no longer happy out of fear of letting go, you are relinquishing your own life. And that is the worst loss of all. The fear of letting go is not love, it is dependency. If the thought of letting go terrifies you, ask yourself, is it truly love that binds you, or is it fear of being alone? Sometimes we believe we cannot let go of someone because we love them too much. But if you delve into that emotion, you will often discover what truly holds you back is fear. Fear of not finding another person to connect with. Fear of facing yourself without the distraction of the relationship. Fear that the emptiness you feel will grow. Here is the irony. The emptiness was already there before that person. By being with someone, you disguised it. You believed their love filled it. But the truth is, no one can fill a void, only you can heal. Letting go of someone does not mean they were not important. It does not mean you must forget what you lived. It does not mean love did not exist. It means you choose to put yourself first, to choose your peace over a relationship that consumes you, to reclaim your energy instead of draining yourself for someone no longer present, to move forward instead of staying trapped in what was. Letting go does not mean stopping love. It means stopping suffering. Many believe detaching requires becoming cold, cutting ties, forgetting the past. But true detachment is not lovelessness. You can let go of someone and still appreciate what they meant in your life. You can release without resentment. You can move forward without erasing the past, but without staying trapped in it. The difference between letting go with love and letting go with suffering lies in how you interpret the farewell. If you see detachment as a loss, it will hurt as if something that belonged to you is being taken away. But if you see it as an act of self-love, an opportunity to reclaim your space, energy, and freedom, letting go becomes an open door, not an end. When you cling, you chain yourself. If you have ever tried to hold on to a relationship at all costs, you know, the more you cling, the more you suffer. The more you try to retain someone who wants to leave, the more you drain yourself. The more you fight to recover what is already broken, the more frustrated you become. Because attachment does not strengthen bonds, it suffocates them. If love is real, it does not need to be forced. If the connection is genuine, it is sustained by choice, not fear. If someone truly wants to be in your life, they will be there without you having to convince them. So when you cling to someone no longer emotionally present, you chain yourself to an illusion. You remain trapped in the idea of what the relationship was, what it could have been, in the version of the person you knew, who may no longer exist. Ask yourself, how much longer will you keep holding on to what is already gone? How much more energy will you spend on someone who may have already moved on? Letting go is reclaiming your power. When you let go, you realize the only person you truly need in your life is yourself. Not because others do not matter, but because self-love is the foundation of any healthy relationship. You cannot love from lack. You cannot share your life if it does not belong to you first. You cannot build a strong bond if the fear of loss is always present. Letting go does not mean losing. It means reclaiming your space, choosing yourself again, opening to new possibilities, trusting that what is meant for you will come without forcing it. Now tell me, will you keep clinging to what no longer is, or will you reclaim yourself? In the next section, we will discover how to heal without closing your heart, how to heal without repressing, to let go without shutting yourself off to love. Healing without closing your heart. When we lose someone important, pain is inevitable. It feels as if something inside us breaks, as if part of our identity crumbles with their absence. Here, Many make the biggest mistake. They either remain trapped in suffering, reliving the past, or become cold, closing themselves off to love to avoid pain again. But Carl Jung taught us something fundamental. What you resist persists. What you accept transforms. If you try to heal by ignoring your feelings, you only push them deeper. Eventually, they resurface disguised as fear, distrust, or insecurity. Healing is not forgetting or repressing. It is learning to feel without staying trapped in pain. The key is to allow yourself to live the process without fear of what it may awaken in you. The mistake of repressing pain. We live in a society that teaches us to quickly overcome what hurts. We are told time heals all, to be strong, to move forward by distracting ourselves and not overthinking. But this is not healing. It is evasion. Unprocessed pain stays within you, becoming resentment, fear of trusting again, a wall between you and love. Have you ever met someone who, after a failed relationship, says, "I'll never fall in love again. Love only brings suffering"? That person has not healed. They have closed their heart to avoid vulnerability. Instead of learning from their experience, they live in constant protection, avoiding real connection. But ask yourself, what is the point of protecting yourself from love if, in the process, you also deprive yourself of experiencing it? Feeling pain is part of the process. To truly heal, you cannot skip the pain. You must face it. Allow yourself to feel sadness, rage, nostalgia. Accept that it is normal to miss someone who mattered to you. Let each emotion run its course without blocking it. Pain that is accepted dissolves. Pain that is repressed becomes a burden carried for years. Do not fear feeling. Do not punish yourself for sadness. Do not believe that because you chose to let go, you have no right to grieve. Only when you allow yourself to feel without attaching to suffering can you truly heal. Healing does not mean closing your heart. Many believe the only way to avoid suffering again is to shut down. They decide never to trust again, to not risk again, to build walls around their heart. But this is not the solution. Protecting yourself from love does not make you strong. It makes you lonelier. If you have been hurt, if you had to let go of someone, if love has pained you in the past, this does not mean it will always be this way. Every person who enters your life is a different experience. Every connection has something new to teach you. Every story is unique. If you close yourself off because of the past, you deny the possibility of living something better. Do not let a negative experience define your capacity to love. Do not let fear decide for you. Do not let past pain become the reason you refuse to open your heart in the future. Healing is not just releasing pain, it is learning to trust again. How to let go without hardening. Here, many get confused. They think detachment means becoming cold, indifferent, distant, that to avoid suffering they must cut off all emotions, convince themselves they never cared. But detachment is not disconnection. It is not about becoming immune to emotions but learning to experience them without getting trapped. It is not forgetting the past but learning from it without resentment. It is not stopping love but understanding love was never something to possess. Carl Jung said, "The key to emotional freedom is integrating the experience without clinging to it, thanking what was without needing to relive it, learning from the past without fearing repetition, making space for the new without carrying the old." This is healing, not fleeing from love but finding a healthier way to experience it. Not hardening but learning to feel without dependency. Not forgetting who you loved but releasing them with gratitude, not pain. Love is not the problem. The problem is how you have interpreted it until now. If you have lived it from lack, you learn to see it as suffering. If you have experienced it through attachment, you believe you are nothing without it. If you have used it to fill voids, you feel broken without the other person. But when you learn to love without fear, dependency, or possession, you realize love does not come from outside. It has always been within you. When you truly understand this, you will never fear letting go again. True power lies in moving forward. Now that you know letting go does not mean losing, now that you understand healing does not mean closing your heart, one last question remains: how to transform this entire process into real growth? Because letting go and healing should not leave you empty. They should make you stronger, more conscious, more whole, transforming pain into growth. The pain of letting go can feel like an open wound. It can make you doubt yourself, wonder what you did wrong, replay memories in your mind. But you must understand, suffering is only destructive if you do not use it to grow. Carl Jung said, "There is no consciousness without pain." The experiences that hurt us most do not come to destroy us. They show us what we refuse to see, push us out of familiarity, and propel us to a higher level of consciousness. They teach us what we need to learn about ourselves. But many get trapped in pain, reliving it, using it to justify distrust, identifying so deeply with suffering that it becomes part of their identity. Here, you have a choice. Let pain consume you, or use it as fuel for transformation. Pain as a teacher, lessons you cannot ignore. Every experience you have lived, every loss, every disappointment, has left something in you. Perhaps you learned you cannot depend on others for happiness. Maybe you discovered you had no boundaries, leading you to lose yourself in the relationship. Maybe you realized you settled for less than you deserved. Pain has a purpose. It shows you something about yourself you refuse to see. If instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you start asking, "What can I learn from this?" everything changes. Now, pain is not a punishment but a tool for growth. If it left you insecure, use it to build stronger self-trust. If it made you feel lost, use it to reconnect with what you truly want. If it taught you gave too much without receiving the same, use it to learn healthy boundaries. Every scar is a reminder you survived something difficult. The difference between someone stuck in the past and someone who evolved lies in how they use their experience. Letting go does not weaken you, it makes you stronger. Many think letting go means losing a part of themselves. But the truth is, when you let go, you find yourself. Letting go does not mean forgetting the past. It means learning to move forward without staying trapped in the story. Here is where real transformation occurs. If after a painful experience, you remain the same, you have not learned the lesson. But if you allow that experience to make you grow, then nothing you lived was in vain. The key: pain should not make you harder. It should make you wiser. You should not close yourself off to love, but learn to love without fear. You should not stop trusting, but learn to recognize who deserves your trust. You should not carry resentment, but learn to let go with gratitude for what was lived. Life is not about avoiding pain. It is about learning from it, transforming it into something that makes you stronger. Your story does not end here. If you are going through detachment, if letting go feels harder than imagined, remember, you are not losing. You are evolving. You are not leaving behind a part of yourself. You are discovering a stronger version. You are not renouncing love. You are learning to experience it in a healthier way. You are not doomed to repeat suffering. You are gaining wisdom to avoid falling into the same patterns. Now ask yourself, how will you use this experience to grow? The story you lived cannot be changed, but the story you write from now on depends entirely on you. Moving forward with fullness, without fear or chains. Detaching from someone is not just an ending, it is an opportunity to open yourself to a completely new life. Building a life where attachment is no longer a chain. Detaching is not just letting go of a relationship, it is letting go of the idea that you need someone else to feel complete. It is returning to yourself, reclaiming your energy, learning to live from freedom, not dependency. But many, after letting go, remain chained to the past, still revisiting memories, secretly hoping the person returns, clinging to what could have been. Without realizing, they turn detachment into silent waiting. The truth: you cannot move forward while looking back. You cannot build something new while trapped in the old. You cannot feel free while carrying chains of attachment. The invisible attachment. Imagine someone who ended a relationship, claims to have let go, says they are fine and moved on. Yet every night, they check their last conversation. Every time they hear a song that reminds them of that love, their stomach knots. Every time they meet someone new, they compare them to the lost person. Outwardly, they seem detached, but mentally, they remain tied. They replay every detail, think of what they could have done differently, secretly hope fate gives another chance. They feel that without that person, something in them is no longer the same. This is not freedom. It is emotional imprisonment where the past controls the present. The most dangerous part is we often do not realize we remain chained. We convince ourselves we are fine, that time will resolve it, that pain will eventually fade. But ask yourself, have you truly let go? Or have you just grown accustomed to carrying the memory? The void. You think that person left was always yours. If you think of someone you lost and feel a void within, remember, that person did not create the void. It was always there. The difference is, while they were in your life, you believed they filled it, that their love gave you something you did not know how to give yourself, that their presence masked a part of yourself you did not want to face. That is why, when they left, you felt you lost more than them. You felt you lost a part of yourself. But here is the truth few accept. No one can fill you if you feel empty. The solution is not finding someone else to cover it. The solution is discovering what part of yourself you continue to abandon. If you do not, you will repeat the cycle, clinging to the next person, hoping this time will be different, building your happiness in another relationship, believing if it works, this time you will not suffer. You will lose yourself in someone else again, not realizing the only relationship needing healing was the one with yourself. Building a life where attachment no longer traps you. Imagine waking each day certain no external factor defines your well-being. Imagine loving without fear of loss because you understand no one can take away what you have found within. Imagine true freedom, not because you lack bonds, but because your bonds no longer come from need but from fullness. This is what it means to truly move forward. It is not about forgetting those who mattered. It is not about becoming indifferent or pretending it did not hurt to lose them. It is about learning that love is not measured by how much you suffer when someone leaves. It is about remembering your worth does not change based on who is in your life or who left. It is about reclaiming your power. Life continues with or without them. The question is, do you continue with it? Some spend their lives looking back, trapped in a story that ended, waiting for answers that never come, nostalgic for something never as perfect as remembered. Meanwhile, life moves on without them. Every day you spend anchored to the past is a day lost from the present. Every time you cling to someone no longer there, you close the door to what could come. Every time you convince yourself you cannot be happy without that person, you rob yourself of the chance to discover you can. So tell me, how much longer will you give your energy to what no longer is? How much longer will you let attachment keep you chained to a story that ended? How much longer will you postpone your true freedom? When you truly decide to move forward, something shifts within. You realize you do not need to return to who you were. You are building something better. You realize love was not lost. It remains within you. You realize life is not taking anything from you. It is showing you can be happy without depending on anyone else. That is true liberation. When you understand no one can complete you because you are already whole. When you stop waiting for external things to fill a void, only you can heal. When you realize love is not possession, it is presence, not need, it is choice. On that day, attachment ceases to be a chain. On that day, you stop being a prisoner of a story that ended. On that day, you begin to truly live. So tell me, are you ready to stop looking back and start moving forward without fear? Because once you understand this, there is no turning back. You move forward, but this time without chains.